Zone coverage defense can be challenging to play in college football 26 because all the zones have huge weaknesses, but I have found a few tricks that you can use to instantly improve your zone coverage. So in today's video, I'm going to break down my top 3 secret tips to play lockdown zone coverage defense. Now, for all this to make sense, the first thing we need to do is break down the main weaknesses of each zone coverage, from cover 2, cover 3, and cover 4. Let's start with cover 3. The biggest reason I don't like cover 3 this year is I just feel like it's way too easy to attack the seams in compressed formations, especially like this. You'll see here, I can just throw a streak in here all day long. Now, this becomes extremely problematic because you'll see here that we have plays like this with auto motion that are very popular this year that have like auto motion fades and wheels. So, if you can imagine, really all you have to do is put some streaks out there, and there's just simply no way to realistically defend this. Now, the other main problem with cover 3 is defending the sideline. So this year, most people have figured out that are good on offense at least. If you have like a stem down corner route, you're gonna give most defenses problems, especially from compressed formations. Without base line, you struggle to defend the sidelines, especially in cover 3, because all you really need is a flat route to make sure the flat zone has to stay in the quick flat area. And then a stem down corner route is going to get to the sidelines every single time. Now let's move to cover 4. Cover 4 does do a better job against the quick seam throws than cover 3, especially if you either move the safeties up or just use the adjustment to get them further into the box. Now, the problem with cover 4 that you want to really expect is it is actually extremely easy to give up one-play touchdowns. And with 4 deep zones, you wouldn't really think that's a thing. Let me show you what I mean. So like this year, guys, if you just stem down a corner route and then like do a streak to basically hold the safety, watch how this route combo works. You're going to notice that on the right side of the screen that this outside corner, he basically never gets deep. He sits on that corner route, which allows that fade route to get over the top. So essentially this year, if you just have a corner route stem down and then a streak to hold the safety, if you have another fade route like this, slightly angled to the sideline, this is going to be an easy touchdown because the outside corner does not get deep enough because he's defending or worried about that corner route. And then the seam streak holds the safety so you can lead a fade away from the safety because that corner does not get back. So you might think to yourself, okay, cover 4 is probably better at stopping the corner routes on the sidelines, seeing as it just gave up a free touchdown on the bomb over the top. But unfortunately, that's not true either, because if the offense simply uses the outside receiver in a compressed set on the stem down corner, so something like this, what you're going to notice is that that corner route is now going to be wide open. Because this time the stem down corner is on the outside receiver, it's not coming from like the slot or the tight end. So this time with this type of a route combo, we can very easily just throw the corner out for free dots on the sideline. Now sure, you could stem your zone or zone drop your zone to help get back there, but it's not always that easy because this year, especially with flats, shading is broken. But regardless, if you were to do this, all the offense would have to do is simply have a drag or maybe the running back coming out of the backfield. And at this point, you're kind of just screwed because you're giving up an easy, 10-ish yards, if not more. Now, you might say to yourself, the answer is cover 2 because this is going to defend the sidelines better. And while it can defend the sidelines better, now we have more issues. I would say the biggest issue in cover 2 is that the flat, like just quick drag throws and routes over the middle field get way too many yardage. And that's partially because shading on flats and hook zones is so bad this year. But look how deep these hook zones drop. That's just giving up even this return route way too much yards. This drag, that's a first down. In this game, the way broken tackles are, you don't want to give that up because with a fast tight end or a stiff arm, that can go the distance. I would say the other big problem with cover 2 is that you can just bomb it way too easy with a different route combo. So like this year, deep halves are good because they'll stop the sidelines a lot better with like fades and whatnot. But the mid reads are just way too easy to confuse. And they do a decent job sometimes of carrying down the middle. But like here, just a simple 4 vertical concept, you'll see that mid read gets confused. And well, that's just way too easy of a throw. So now that you know the weaknesses of each zone coverage defense, let me break down my favorite unique zone coverage shells, tips, tricks, and adjustments you can use to actually play lockdown zone coverage defense. Now I use the 3-2-6 playbook on defense, But you can use the stuff I'm about to show you for mini playbooks. I will say there's two main things you need to look for when picking a formation to do this stuff from. First of all, you need a slot corner for the adjustments I'm about to show. Secondly, you need a formation that you can blitz from because you can't just let the offense sit back, send 5 out with no threat of the blitz. I'm going to focus on two main formations in this video, and it's going to be the nickel 2-4 single mug and then the nickel 2-4 load mug. You can see with each of these formations, I'm able to use the free safety 1 inside package. This is going to give me different adjustments to my slot, which I'll show you in a second. Now, with each of these formations, I'm just going to come out into play Tampa 2. Now, I really like coming out in Tampa 2 because I can create the different coverage looks I want on the fly, easy with this package. And the reason why is when you click on this nickel corner or the slot, he's actually a safety, you'll see that his adjustments are now different. Instead of having a bunch of flat zones, he actually has a bunch of deep zones. And this allows me to get very creative with my coverage package because I can create combos. And what I mean by that is I want a coverage that stops the sidelines without the weaknesses of cover 2. And with cover 2, what's happening is it's just too easy to throw right down the seam and exploit that mid-read. That's the biggest problem. So what I can do here is I can put this slot corner in an outside third to the right, and then I can put the safety into a middle third. So effectively what I've done is I'm going to take away the sideline with this, get 2 defenders right here, and then I'm going to use this guy to shut down the middle so they can't just bomb me with route combos. Then I can just use this guy. And I tend to either put him in a man coverage or a hook zone. I don't like the mid-read. I don't need the mid-read anymore. Because even though I'm using him, if I stick switch off him, I want him to do something that's actually, worth it. This is a combo coverage, guys. So this is different because, yes, there's 3 deep zones, but it's not cover 3. Because in a basic cover 3, you're going to have the outside corners in deep zones. But here, I have the safeties and then the slot, okay? Now, yeah, I could shade like, underneath on the hook zones or zone drop them if necessary. But what you're going to notice here is, if they try to attack the sideline the same way, something like this, this is going to be a lot easier for me to defend because you'll see, this is just not going to get as open, and I can more so worry about taking away the drag. And you guys can see there's nothing there. Now, this defense will also allow us to take away the big bomb plays. Real quick, guys, if you want to dominate college football 26 and win more games, sign up for my VIP membership on Sportsgamerz.com. You'll get access to all my premium content for the entire year, including all my offensive and defensive ebooks, weekly tip updates, and more. I'm running a limited time sale on my yearly membership where you get 7 months for free and 6 bonus ebooks. Over 99% of our members say that they win more games with our tips. Click the link in the description of this video and start winning more games now. Now, what we're going to do here is we have a few options. The first thing we can do is the same exact setup we just did, where we put the slot into an outside third to the sideline, to the right, and then the safety on this side to a middle third. Now, we're going to still use the mid-read, and, we're just going to play the middle of the field. Now, what you're going to notice here is that with this setup, we were able to bomb cover 2 right down the middle. But that's just simply no longer going to happen because you're seeing that middle third shuts that down. Now, you'll also notice that the slot in the outside third, he's able to get back to defend the sideline. You'll see this fade is covered on the sideline by the outside third, and then the safety in the middle third, he's able to shut down the seam. Also, this is taken away over here, and we're pretty much good to go. Now, I will say that if your DBs aren't super fast, you could set this up a bit differently. If you're worried that this guy can't get to the sideline, he probably would be, easier to put him in a middle third to just go right down the middle, and then you could put this guy in the outside third. So it'd be the same concept, just switching up which player is in which zone. Now, for me, I normally do the first option because my safeties are very fast, but if yours aren't, this option will be good for you to basically just make it a little bit easier on your defenders to do their job. And as you guys can see, same thing basically happens. Neither one of those guys are able to get open. Now, the other big issue we had here was with the hook zones just dropping too far back. And as I said, shading is a little bit broken this year. So if I ever have issues with my hook zones dropping too far back, all I do is go into my zone drops and set my hooks to 5. This way, this takes away all the problems I just noted. So like right here, if I expect them to basically, do this sort of route combo where they have some sort of like drag over the middle or maybe a return route, if I set my hooks to 5, I'm easily able to defend this much better. Like now I actually can rely upon my hook zones staying a bit more underneath to where that drag is just not open anymore. As you guys can see, yeah, we threw it in there and he caught it, but if you look, that hook zone actually stayed down on the drag. Like I have no idea how he caught this. This is just, I guess, the game being bad. But this allows me to go to the route behind it, okay? Now, granted, this is just a very good play because it's very hard to defend the return route with these other two routes. But for the basic purpose of defending a drag and a post type route or a drag and a dig, this adjustment does the job because the 5-yard hook stays low enough for the drag, which then allows you to get deeper to defend the dig or the post. What if you find yourself in a situation where the offense has their strong side of the formation, this time on the left, is the left side of the field is the wide side, giving more room to work with the sideline? You'll notice good passers tend to do this type of offense. Well, if you have auto flip on, which I would suggest when running these types of nickels, you will automatically get your nickel corner to match the strength of the formation. So he's already on the left. So what this does is it allows us to do the same adjustments just on the other side of the field. So basically what you would do here is you would put this nickel into outside third, this time to the left, and then you would put the safety into the middle third. Now, personally, I'm just clicking on to show you, but what I do in a game is I just basically get on the mid-read, man myself up or put myself in the hook zone, and then I adjust the players myself. So here, what I would do, personally, is once I'm on this guy, I would hit triangle, triangle, or YY, then the nickel corner icon, that is triangle. This will bring up his adjustments. So I can hit to the left, on the left stick to put him in outside third left. I can do the same thing for that safety. Triangle, triangle, or YY brings up the secondary individual coverage adjustments. Then I can hit his icon L1, up on the left stick is middle third. That is way faster once you get used to it. Now, you can see if somebody tries the same type of route combo, this way, we've already easily adjusted this. Now, do remember you can easily zone drop your flats if necessary, or you can click on them to custom zone them, whichever way you need to defend whichever sort of, type of corner route or whatever depth of route they're running. Very easy to just take that away with a zone drop or a custom zone. But regardless, you'll see, there's just really not anything here. We're trying to throw that, but it's not open, and it gets broken up. It gets hit at the line. Now, the next thing I want to show you is out of the 3-3-5, 3 high odd. I run the 3-2-6 defensive playbook on defense. For one of these reasons is it has this formation. This formation is really good. Now, if this formation, you definitely want auto flip on. But another thing I like to do is I like to put my safety depth at either close or tight, and let me explain why. So if I just come out in this formation, you'll see that these safeties they're pretty far back. And you guys can see that this coverage is very similar to what I just did, right? You have the outside corners and flats, and then the 3 safeties in deep zones. But these 3 safeties are just backed up too far. Like, I don't really want that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and put their depth on either close or tight, depending upon how fast they are. If you have the fastest safeties in the world, tight's cool. If yours aren't super fast, I would stick with close, because close is just a little bit safer. But if you can get away with tight, I would definitely do that, okay? Now, you'll see that when you come out with this defense with the safety set like this, now they're closer in the box, so you can't just throw those easy quick throws. It takes away the easy quick throws over the middle, but they'll still help defend the sidelines. Now, there's pros and cons to this current defensive setup. The pro is you don't have to do any adjustments to the coverage. It's already pretty much what you want. The other defense was 2 adjustments, which isn't a lot, but the coverage is already set. The con is, though, there's no pressure here as is, and single mug has way more ability in general to bring pressure, and if you want to learn how to blitz from the single mug, it's one of the best blitzing formations in the game. Check out my VIP membership on Sportsgamerz.com. I have all my blitz setups on there. Link is in the comments in the description. But in this formation, you actually can do some blitzing. I just don't think it's as good. So to set up a blitz from this formation, I like to spread my linebackers out. The problem is that with this shell, this dude, when you spread the linebackers out from this play, just stands in the slot. I don't really love that. So a lot of times, I'll use a cover 2 shell, and that should help. As you guys can see now, when you spread the linebackers out, the outside linebackers actually go on the line. And we can use this guy or potentially the safety. It's really up to you. But the huge thing here is now I at least have the ability to blitz. So, like I was saying, if somebody just sends everybody out religiously, like, we don't like that because, like, they have all day long here. And sure, there wasn't nothing obviously open, but, like, there was stuff we could have hit, and that's just too long. So let me show you how to blitz from this formation. So what I like to do from this formation, if someone's just doing this nonstop, is just hot blitz 3. Like, literally hot blitz 3, spread the linebackers out, and that's it. I can play on one of these safeties, but what I would typically do is just set my coverage something like this to where, okay, now, I don't really have to use her the middle. I can just use her this guy and kind of just get aggressive over the middle. Now, this is obviously a risky blitz. It's sending 6, but it does get quick pressure. So if it's just something where, you spread the linebackers out, and now, we are getting a little bit more risky, but we are taking away the quick throws with our user. And if they're just not used to us sending any pressure, this can definitely be very good. Again, it's not something I'm going to do 24/7, but this just does give you the ability to send the blitz if they don't expect it from this formation, which is the whole thing. You just want to make them block the running back, at least expect the blitz. Or respect it, I should say.